On September 29th, 1978, a very hot and muggy day in California, a small group of people stood on the side of the road, hitchhiking. Each of them wanted to get a ride to a specific destination. Among these people was a 15-year-old girl named Mary Vincent, an ordinary teenage girl lost in her thoughts. Mary wanted to get to her grandfather, who lived on the other end of California in a large suburb of Los Angeles, Corona. The situation at home due to her parents' divorce was so tense that Mary literally ran away from home. She had done this before, so running away from home was not the first time for Mary. For some time, Mary even lived in a car with her boyfriend until he was arrested for raping another young girl. Mary felt tired and thought about how to get to her grandfather's house as quickly as possible. At that moment, a blue van slowed down next to her. A middle-aged man was driving. He smiled kindly and asked, "Where are you headed, dear?" Hearing that she was going to Corona, Lawrence Singleton, the driver who stopped, kindly offered to take her to Los Angeles. Mary hesitated, but Lawrence quickly explained his kindness by saying that his daughter was the same age as Mary, so she should not worry. This reassured the girl. She got into the van and relaxed. For some time, Singleton and Vincent drove, talking about various trivialities. Mary lit a cigarette. At some point, she sneezed from the smoke, and Lawrence asked if she was sick. He put his hand on the back of her head and began to pull her towards him. Mary quickly pulled away and pressed herself against the door so that the man could not reach her. Any girl would be wary of such behavior by a stranger, but Vincent felt only irritation. After a while, Singleton told Mary that he needed to stop by San Francisco for a short time to pick up some of his belongings. The girl agreed, and upon arrival, even helped him carry his things to the van. After that, they continued on their way, and on the road, Vincent dozed off. At some point, the girl woke up and realized that they had passed the turn. Under the seat, she found a pointed stick and, threatening Singleton with it, demanded that he turn the car around immediately. Lawrence was genuinely surprised and told Mary that it was just a mistake caused by his fatigue, and therefore he needed to stop the van to stretch his legs a bit and go to the bathroom. When the man stopped the van, Vincent got out with him to stretch a bit too. The girl bent down to tie her untied shoelace, and at that moment, she received a strong blow to the head. Another blow followed. Then Singleton grabbed Vincent by the hair and said that he would kill her if she screamed and did not follow his orders. Lawrence dragged Mary to the back of the van and raped her. After that, he tied the girl's hands behind her back and, leaving his victim on the floor of the car, sat in the driver's seat and drove further into the canyon. Mary was terribly scared. She cried and begged Singleton to let her go, but her tears and pleas only played into Lawrence's hands. Having had his fill of amusement, Singleton force-fed the girl some alcohol, after which she lost consciousness. When Vincent came to, Singleton cut the ropes from her hands and she thought he was releasing her. Then she looked up and saw an axe. She froze in horror. Grabbing Mary's left hand, Lawrence shouted, "Do you want to be free? I'll set you free," and chopped off her hand below the elbow in 3 blows of the axe. The girl screamed in pain and terror. She tried to break free, red liquid gushing from her arm. Singleton forcefully pinned Vincent to the ground, grabbed her right hand, and with 2 blows, chopped it off as well. Then he pushed the naked and bleeding girl into a ditch, followed her down, and pushed her into a concrete sewer. Finally, Singleton said that now she was completely free. He thought the girl was dead and drove away. Mary regained consciousness several hours later. The first thing she saw was the stumps of her arms. The sight sent her into a wild panic and she screamed. It took Mary some time to comprehend what was happening. She gathered her strength and stood up. Completely naked, the girl stood and tried to understand where to go. She raised her mutilated hands to slow the bleeding and began to walk forward. The sun was beating down hard, and Mary began to feel worse. In the distance, she heard the sound of cars and walked towards it. Soon, Vincent stepped onto the road and, exhausted, leaned against a rock. It was at this moment that the girl was incredibly lucky. A passing couple noticed her. Seeing her, they were deeply shocked but stopped to help her. They applied tourniquets, covered her with clothes, and drove her to the nearest hospital. The police received a detailed composite sketch from Mary, and the results were not long in coming. Singleton was soon arrested. He did not admit his guilt, claiming that Mary was a cheap prostitute. Singleton and Vincent met in court, where the girl, barely stirs away herself, pointed at her tormentor. The court sentenced Lawrence Singleton to 14 years in prison. Of these, the monster served 8.5 years and was released on parole for exemplary behavior. This outraged the public. Authorities in the cities where Singleton was planning to move refused him. Finally, Lawrence managed to find a place in his hometown of Tampa, Florida. There he was tried twice for theft. In 1997, Singleton brutally killed a prostitute, Roxanne Hayes, in his home. The woman was raising 3 children on her own, and that fateful day she wanted to earn some extra money. For the murder of Hayes, Singleton was sentenced to the death penalty, but in 2001 he died of cancer. With only 2 victims on his record, the story of Singleton still terrified all of California for many years. It was because of him that amendments were adopted in the state's judicial system to use just-to-cheat punishments for murderers. Mary was able to come to terms with the tragedy. She married and gave birth to 2 sons, but later divorced. Now divorced, Vincent feels almost happy because she was able to rebuild her life and found a foundation to help victims of serious crimes to support other girls who find themselves in trouble. Now Mary understands that even in a moment of emotion, she should not have gotten into a car with a stranger. And if she did, she should have left the car as soon as possible. Not linger near a suspicious driver, and certainly not turn her back on him.